Welcome, everyone. This is the PowerShell New York City virtual meetup. I'm your host, Doug Fink, and today we have An, who is generous enough to come spend her time and do a demo on leveraging PowerShell ImportExcel for time series forecasting and impact estimation. Just a shout out. I think it was Jaap Brazer. I think he's on. I think I saw him on before. He should still be here. He actually let me know on that you were doing this presentation at one of the somewhere in Europe, I think. And he let me know, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And that's when I reached out to you, and I was like, "Hey, would you want to do it?" And thank you very much for coming on. So An's got over 12 years of experience in data analytics and data management in different industries, such as finance, tech, and wholesale across Asia and Europe. She's a lead consultant at the Devo team, and she has featured articles in the United States Cybersecurity Magazine and I'm not going to be able to pronounce that correctly. Tandem newspaper. I can barely speak English. Hey, Jaap, you're here. So before we get started, so thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's not too late where you are?
It's 4 p.m. now, so it's
4
not too
p.m.
late. Yeah.
And you got out of all your meetings today and you're all set up?
Yeah, like just before, I mean, my meeting just finished around 3:45 p.m.
So right from that into a presentation, that's a good transition. So before we get started with your presentation, so I'd like to know a little more, like what got you interested, how long you've been working with PowerShell, what got you interested in the ImportExcel. Love to hear that story if you want to tell us.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining today. And first of all, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is An, and currently I'm living in Amsterdam. In my free time, I like to cycle, and thanks that because I live in Amsterdam, so a lot of people also cycling every day. So that's a good point. The reason that I get into PowerShell is not because of my work, because my background is data management and also data analytics and data science, but because of my hobby and because of Yap as well. So one time I have a very messy inbox, like the email, and I want to manage it in an efficient way. Also with my calendar and stuff. So that's why Yap introduced me about PowerShell, and he asked, why don't you try it? So because I have background in Python's, PySpark, SAS, SQL, and other languages. So it's easy for me to pick up a new language like PowerShell. Having said that, so today you can also see my code as well. It's not very advanced, I would say, but it do the job. And also come with the demo today. I also intentionally put there, when I implement, there will be some error pop up, but that is how I learned it, how to fix it on the way. So I also want to walk you through the same path as well.
Well, that's terrific. And from what you were saying about data science, so I have three more questions. This may become more questions than it will be a presentation. So I got the impression that you were probably have used Python over time,
Yes.
And then you said you're a SAS person, right? Statistical, yes. Right? I was an expert in SAS back in the 80s and 90s. Nice. So it's really good to meet somebody else who's done SAS. I used to do it on the mainframe. So I was a capacity planner. And I was always amazed at SAS, what you could do. And that's kind of what drove my thinking about using PowerShell and Excel and all that stuff. So you must have, when you did, because of your Python background, have you played with PyTorch and those types of things in your data science work?
So I work with scikit-learn rather than PyTorch. Okay. So yeah.
So what do you think about all this new LLM stuff? I don't mean to go off to the weeds here. What do you have any thoughts? And it's okay if you think it's not good.
Yes, I think it's quite amazing what it can do. And to be honest, one of my projects at Devo team, I also need to explore the capacity of the large language learning model and how to help the client in terms of like creating the chatbot and automate the process for them. So I really like the capacity of the large language learning model. However, like on the downside that you really need to look at it and need to be careful because it can like hallucinate sometimes. So yeah.
Great. I actually have a new T-shirt called says, and I on it on my T-shirt says, "I hallucinate more than Chat GPT." So
Oh,
hallucinating is not the worst thing, but and the last piece was I just want to say that it's all Yop's fault. So he seems to have his fingers in many pies all over the world, which is cool. Actually, he was I think he was in here in New York 2 weeks ago, and he was nice enough to reach out, and we went out for lunch, and we had a really fun talk about AI co-pilots and whatnot because he's got a new position. He's joined a company that's I think they're called Cursor, and they're all about an IDE with their own co-pilot AI embedded into the IDE. So Codium, sorry, I was close. Codium AI, he calls it, is where he's at, and hopefully I've invited him when he's ready, since he's only been there a few weeks, to come on and we can chat about that, LLMs and whatnot. So awesome background, I really appreciate that. So if you're ready, you can share your screen.
yeah.
Oh wait, I have one more. Am I still sharing my screen or did I stop sharing? Yeah, let me share again. I just have one more, and then you can. Okay, so just in a couple of weeks, speaking about LLMs and whatnot, many folks here should know Chrissy Lemaire. She's a double MVP GitHub Universe star. She's written a book. She's a maintainer and creator of the DBA tools. So she reached out and she's using my PowerShell AI module. So I said, all right, let's have a 2.5 geeks. We're going to get on and we're going to talk about LLMs and AI and fine tuning and all that kind of stuff. And we'll probably do some chat GPT and maybe share a bunch of stuff of how we do prompting of the LLMs. So that's all I've got. I'll stop interrupting. And if you want to share, and then we can kick that off. It'd be awesome. If you have any questions, hello, Nick. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in and we'll get those answered. All right, you're up.
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, looks good.
Yeah. Yeah. So welcome again to the session today. I will talk about leveraging PowerShell import Excel model in time series forecasting and impact estimation. And maybe I move it here a little bit. A little bit about myself. Like already introduced, that I have more than 12 years of experience in analytics and data management. And I used that experience to write the article on United States Cybersecurity Magazine. And also, if you like, you can also go to my blog post or connect with me on LinkedIn. The agenda today, first, I will talk about the problem statement, why we need to do the impact estimation and time series analysis. And then I will go spend around 10 minutes talking about impact estimation calculation. And then after that, I will talk about time series analysis solution. So the reason that I call estimation calculation, but not estimation solution, is that it's just a very quick calculation. So I don't think it's as big as a solution. So the storyline of why we need to learn it. So for example, and by the way, this is just all the data I use here is simulated data. So it's not real, just for the purpose of demo. And second, the story here is that, for example, if you want to open a new cafe or the coffee shop, then you also need to do the estimation in terms of how much revenue you will gain per day, whether it's worth for you to open the cafe. And after you open the cafe, you also want to forecast your visitor every day so that you can also build the inventory. For example, how much coffee you need to deliver to the cafe and the resource and stuff like that. Or in your daily work, you also need to do sometime as a data analyst, because I'm talking from the viewpoint of the data analyst, for example, that you also need to do the estimation, same thing like forecast in order to help business. So um, if and then so that's the problem statement. Then how knowing PowerShell will make the job of analyst or the stakeholder of analyst even better. So that's why we come to this part. So first, the estimation calculation. I would like to, from this moment, I would like to show mainly the demo, the code, and the Excel file. Yes. Are you able to see the Excel file?
Yep, can see that
Yes.
well.
Yes. So assume that we will have the raw data like this. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So assume that we have a new market or we have a new location and we want to open the cafe. And what we want is that we want to estimate how much revenue per day the cafe will generate. And in order to do that, there will be a lot of elements, many components that affect the estimation. So for example, the age group of the people that live near the cafe, and also whether nearby there's any competitor or any canteen, because people can go to canteen for the cafe, or they want to have tea, for example, or they can go to other place to have the coffee. So that's why they are just some example of the components that may affect the final estimation. So the estimation here will have some formula, and how to decide which formula that we use to do the estimation, it will depend on your talk to the stakeholder based on their experience as well. But the point here is, how do you carry out using PowerShell? I would like to show you this.
Ooh, I know how to do it. No, go ahead.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so for example, in this case, this is the formula where they take into account all of the elements that they think is affect the estimation for the revenue per day. And now what you want to do is that you want to do is with Excel, with PowerShell. And PowerShell can help you to write the formula, can also help you to format the cell, and can also help you to alter size the cell. So for example, sometimes it's like this, but it can also help you to automatically doing that. And how do we do it? So I will show here. Imagine here in my demo file, I will have raw cells. I will, it is this one. I'm opening it. So at the cell file I showed to you, first, we only have this data, and we need to create a column E with all the element here, and we need to do it in PowerShell. So at any point during my presentation, if you have any question, feel free to ask as well. Then I will go to Visual Studio Code. And what I do here, are you able to see it clearly? I assume yes, if you don't say anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
So
good.
first, the first demo I will do is that I will call a path here. And maybe I just clear all the things to make it better. And after that, I will import the raw cell CSV file with the path that I will point to the path earlier. And the file name that I create will be sales generated .xlsx, and the worksheet name I will call it raw data. So after this step, and also then I will open the workbook. So after this step, what we expect to see is that first I import the whole raw data cells that I showed you earlier. But bear with me for some seconds before I show you this. And then after that, I want to sometime, because that we are working in a company, sometimes other departments don't need like the Excel or CSV format, but they may work on the JSON file, for example, for other pipeline. So it's also good that you know this command in order to convert the CSV file into JSON, for example. Yeah, because I'm open it, so it will get the error. So like I said before, so I just like purposely put this workbook, this code, and also write a command or do the action as well. Sometimes it will pop up the error, so I can explain and also explain what it can be better as well. So this because I'm opening the Excel file, so that's why I have the error. So now if I close it, there's no error anymore. And if I open the location, I should see the estimation JSON here. And if you open the JSON file, you will see that from the raw data, it will like format the JSON for you. And then in order to do the estimation, here we go. First, we open the Excel package using open Excel package with the path that we specified earlier. And then after that, we need to open, like access the worksheet as well.
So before you go on to that, I think what you did there is really cool. I just wanted to highlight or just dial in a bit on it. You went from a CSV file into an Excel file, and then you were able to actually save it in JSON. So there's 3 different formats you're playing with, and that's all done in a few lines of code of PowerShell. Tremendous. Thank you. Okay.
And yeah, it's also how to scale up in later process as well, because other team, for example, the data science team, they work mainly with JSON format. So it's really cool.
Awesome.
And here we see that from the row 2 to row 5, and in this file, if I open the estimation file here, the cell data here, then we will see that what we want to do is that we want to write the formula from cell E2 to E5, and then E6. E6 is just the total of E2 to E5. What we do is that we want to do it like from row number 2 to row number 5. And for each object, Then in the column E, row number 2 to number 5, then we place the formula, like the formula in the Excel file. So the dollar sign and this with underscore mean the current object, if not wrong. Yeah. So feel free to also correct me because I think I only learned PowerShell since the last 1 year and doing yeah. So yeah. So I will after running this, I just need to run again in case I forget what is it here, and then I need to run this, and then for E6, we also like just enter the formula here. What I find is really cool is that you just need to open yeah, you just need to put the formula exactly from the Excel file here. So I don't need to think too much. F5.
I designed that myself because I was lazy.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that is very helpful. So what I did actually, I just do the calculation in E5, E2 to E5 and E6. Now we really want to see the result. In every time, if you want to see the result, meaning that you need to open the Excel file and show it again. So that's why I advise you to close it first. Else will pop up the error that I just showed you. So it's open for you, right? And here you can see that it create analysis for you, estimation. And you go here, you will see that the is using the formula. It's pop up for you. It's calculate everything. It's just like the cell data that we want it to do. But if we compare the two files, the file earlier, we see the format here is a little bit yellow here, also yellow here, and it's also the column also nicely like this. So we also want to do this because we want to present with good visual for to the stakeholder. So I advise to close this again. You can don't save, and then what you do here. This piece of code help you to add the color. So for example, here I choose to add color yellow for E1 and E6. So I run it again. Now to see what's the reason for this. Of course, because I need to access the estimation worksheet first, and then I run this. And then you open this. Great. So you add the color. Now, how do you resize the column? So the thing here, in order to work with PowerShell here with Excel, is that every time you do run a command, you need to like access the worksheet. You need to tell PowerShell which worksheet that you want to access. The reason that I don't write the whole code and then just go as one in that because I'm doing the demo. But in practice, you can like do it everything as one, and then you can put this as last. But because I'm doing the demo, trying to show you, so I just put it here. So I do the same thing again. And this time, auto resign. So again, that's exactly to the same two lines that I just run above, F5. And now you open to show the result. Go to estimation, see, it's appear nicely. So that's it, the whole thing about how do you carry out the estimation formula. Now we go to the next part, which is the time series. So first of all, we want to understand what is time series. So time series, so it have in a nutshell, it describe the data point through the time. So it's just like in simple language, and at the axis, you will see that you expect to see different day time, and then in the y-axis, you will see like different number, like the data point, and time series will have different components. First, you will see the original one, and then you also have seasonal component. Meaning, for example, if you sell cafe, there may be on the normal day, like weekday, if your cafe shop next to the working office, for example, like the building, then many people will go there to work. So you may expect a high revenue rather than if you compare to weekend. For example, I lived in Singapore in the past, and there's a business district where mostly the building there are for office. So during weekend, the revenue is not that high. Also, you have the train component. So, for example, through the time, you will see that a certain train, for example, is upward or downward. And then you will have like some noise, like irregular components as well. And a time series forecast is the forecast that deal with own component. And there's a lot of like many methods that can do the job. And each method has different advantages and different disadvantages. For the simplicity, today I only introduce 3 methods. And now we go to the demo part of time series forecasting. I need to open a master file with either cell data. So this is the raw data. We have the date. We have the sales per date. For example, after our cafe open for a while, for some date. And then we have the number of visitors per day. And we have, so for the sake of simplicity, I just put the price for every cup at my store, the same price. So cappuccino or espresso is the same price. Because I'm doing the demos, I just want to do is like skip the data part, but focus more on the methods, the methodology, because I believe that this will be the base for you to develop many amazing feature in the future as well. And then it's also, I have weather on that day. I have like the traffic, meaning that like whether it's like weekday or weekend, if one meaning that like it's good traffic, and then 0 meaning that it's not so good traffic. And how I define whether it's good or not, it totally also depends on my conversation with stakeholder to decide the threshold. The weather, for example, if it's 1 meaning it's sunny, 0 meaning it's not sunny. So those components will affect the final column with the sales. So my main goal here is to forecast on specific day what will be my sales, so I can repair the inventory. For example, this is the outcome that I would like to see. I would like to see next to my data, I would like to see 3 different forecasts because I want to convince my stakeholder. So I just want to provide them 3 different forecasts, and then it will show them similar trend or not. And then they will also decide like on average which one that they will go for, what is the amount of sales, what is the amount of inventory they want to focus on. So I will take some minutes to explain what each forecast column does, so then we can convert into PowerShell. The first method they call is average moving methods, moving average method, sorry. And what it does is that it will take the average of the last 3 days. For example, you can also take the average of the last 4 days, 5 days, depends on your setup. But here in this demo, I do the average of the last 3 days. So the next cell also the average of the last 3 days. So this method is called moving average. The second one is the improvement of the first method, because the first method is assumed that my cells on day 1, day 2, and day 3 contribute to the same weight to my forecast, meaning that I will average everything the same. But then my second methodologies, my second forecast, saying that no, I want whatever the sales that I achieved yesterday will have will have bigger weight than the day before yesterday, and the day before yesterday, whatever I sell have bigger weight than the day before. So what I do is that I put the weight here, and again, so the sum here need to be around 1, need to be exactly 1, but then for example, how do you put the weight for each day will depend on your conversation to stakeholder again. So for example, in my demo, I put that like if yesterday, whatever the sales is will contribute most to my forecast. And then the further away the day, the less influence it is to my forecast. So that's what this formula do. It's just the sum products, meaning that it will be the average, but it will take the weight into account. The way that it's doing that, it will take this column multiply, for example, 259 multiplied by 0.1, and then plus 275 multiplied by 0.2, and then so on, and then divided by 3. So that's is theirs. Basically, it's the improvement of the first column. And then the last column, I just basically use the forecast formula in Excel file. But this methodologies is basically based on the linear forecast. So we don't need to go into detail here, but I just want to show you that there are 3 different ways in order to do the forecast. And after that, I also want to visualize to my stakeholder to see the trend. So how we do it, we go back to the Visual Code. And yes, so I will run this again. Yes, and then you will see here that I want to create a new column with the heading weight. So the way that I do it, I think that there are multiple ways to do it, but I just like take the set Excel column and I will create just the heading weight. And then for that, I will use the same thing again. I do it before for the estimation. If you noted that, I will do the same thing from in the L column from row number 5 to row number 8. Please put the value of the weight. So I see here value for L2, 0.1, 0.2, and of course, I will do the same for 0.7. So I intentionally put it there, 7. So you will see the sum here is exactly 1. Now we want to...
you need to change that to L4?
Oh, that's true. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, and then you want to run it. Now you want to see the results, so you need to run this. So I will repeat again. What you need to, in the demo, I will keep doing like the 3 commands again and again, but you don't need to do it in reality. I will show it. Yeah, so you will see that what I just did is that I write weight heading, the header and then the value and close it again. The next one is the formula. So for now, I want to focus on the first forecast. So again, same thing from row 5 to 7. And then I want to place the formula for column G, which is the forecast underscore number 1. And this, I just do the average. And again, you will see that I run it first and then I will explain after. F5, run. Yeah, so if you see here, like if you notice here, average, and then you open the bracket, you will see that B2 to B4. And so it's kind of like relative self, I guess if I call it like correctly. So B2 and then B4. So the way that you can do it is that with this $ and underscore and -3 to -1, meaning that you will call the last 3 row before the current row. If you understand what I mean. So for example, here, what you just did is that you want to call these 3 rows. So you just do, the way you do it is that $ underscore and then -3 to -1, -3, -3, 2, and -1. That's how you did it. And before that, you put, of course, the variable sign. So that's how it's worked. If you want to work with formula in Excel file and with PowerShell. And then the second one, similarly, but the second one, the beauty of this demo is that it also demonstrates different scenario when it comes to formula in Excel file. I will do it again to show why this is different than the previous one. Yes, so you will see here, what's different is that we want to fix the range here. For every cells that is moved here, it haven't fixed yet. So that's what I need to do. So I suppose that this should not run. I know why.
Off by 1.
Yeah, it should not like run the cell, like column L here should not run. But I don't see anything wrong with the formula here, even with the Excel one.
Maybe it's the way it got inserted from with PowerShell.
Let me do it like, for example, if I do it in Excel file, what do I have? Yeah, these two are the same. Okay, so what I can do in this situation, I will try on is that what I do, because I also experience those things, like even though the Excel file is half, but when you translate into PowerShell, it shows error. So what I do, for example, here, you will see that this is also how you can troubleshoot in reality. So you can create exactly the same thing in PowerShell, in Excel file. So this is my Excel formula, and this is the formula that I use PowerShell. So remember, H is PowerShell, and I is Excel file. So what I want to do is that I want to see the property of those 2 cells, how PowerShell understand it. For example, so what I do, I change here to add 5. Yeah, of course. So you will see the property of the file and to see how PowerShell understand the cell that we are seeing. I think it's understand the same thing. Okay, then this question for the we will figure it out.
So a couple things. Bart says you should not iterate the 1.2 block. It's always the same. Well, that I'm not sure if that's contributing to it, but that's a really cool technique that you're using there to show how to do the debug. That if you do grab the worksheet cells,
Yeah.
because of the PowerShell engine, it actually grabs that cell and gives you all that rich information about a cell inside of the workbook. So that's really cool, as well as the other pieces. But yeah, I'm not sure why it's not happening. It's not cooperating. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will take into account. I mean, I will look at it after as well. Yeah, and then the third one, you will see that I use, yeah, so that for now I remove this one first because I will show you why. So I will run this again and I'll show you why at 5. Um, yeah, so you will see that even though you thought that you put the forecast function exactly from the Excel file that you see before into PowerShell, but now when you open, it doesn't seem like that it understands you. So if you see the function here clearly, closely, you will see the at sign in front of forecast, right? It's different, and we didn't expect that. So we close it, and now we want to fix it. And I use the same techniques before. So I need to open to remember we say that. So I want to, for example, investigate I5 to see, for example, if I move it. And this also with the day formula as well. So if I move the S sign, then it will work. But I put the S sign there, then it won't work. But thing here is that I don't want it like after I generated the Excel formula, I need to go there for every single cell and then I need to remove the S sign. So you can also do it by investigate what's different between the two. So I run this command. Yes, of course. This is number H. Sorry, no, I, not H. That's why I do is you see the result quite weird. 5, and then yes. So you see here, so it needs to add like in PowerShell. So it have like it's understand that you need to put this one first. So that's why using the technique, I am able to understand what I need to put it here. So if I put it back, then I expect that it's work. Yeah. So that's how you can like understand and then remove the at sign by basically understand the behavior.
So yeah, I just want to point out that's really cool that you found that. That's one of the really edge cases of using all the different pieces that are in the PowerShell import Excel module and finding that took us quite a long time to figure out the underscore XLFN. So the fact that you found it and you're applying it, I've never used the forecast.ets, but yeah, there's other places that applies. So that's a great find and a great technique of comparing the cells like that. So good stuff. Good.
Yeah, thank you. Because like in Excel, there are also many nowadays updates with many advanced formula as well. So yeah, from time to time, when you apply those formula like this, you also get the error. And to be honest, I also add YAP as well for some error that like sometimes I could not figure out myself. Then I have to ask him. And then he also like with his rich experience, he also like helped me to troubleshoot as well. The next one is that we want to visualize. And here I will demonstrate how can you do it. So we can have many. So the way that you do it is that you use new Excel chart definition. However, you will see that I can like have many different ways to organize my code. I can also write only element as one like this, but it's not ideal. Or I can also organize my code like this. Or for me, the best thing is that I organize in the function like this because it's readable, it's easy to understand. So why don't we just go with this version? So the reason I put on it here is just to try to make the point that this piece of code make it easier to read. So for example, I create like charge one flat, and then I will have chart type the line, and the horizontal line will be date, and vertical line will be I want to have sales and forecast one, and the title of the chart will be forecast method one moving average sales of the last 3 days. And I want to that line, I want to make this, highlight this title. And then I can also like decide the size of the chart, the legend position, and the Suri header as well. So I can do a lot of option with this feature. And then I can run this first. And before doing that, I noticed here that I have variable forecast underscore one, and then I will have variable forecast underscore 2 and 3. However, I haven't named the column in the Excel file yet. So you can also do that by going back and apply this this function, set Excel column that I showed earlier, and you put the heading weight or heading forecast underscore one. Initially, I want to intentionally make it as a mistake for you to show you that it doesn't work. But I can show you up front. Yes, again, I need to run it. And I will run this. Yeah, so here, as you can see that this make it simpler to understand. Yeah, so it's only show one line. The reason is that it cannot detect grades forecast 1, 2, and 3. So you can also use the same set Excel column in order to put the head there. But for now, I can make it easier like this. Two, three. So I save it. And as you can see here, it's so only one line first, but only element of the chart is shown. Like, for example, the title, the line, here the sales is also like, so you would like it show, but then I will delete it all because I want to demonstrate the visualization. Of course, I go to the same command line before. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So because that like I saw many days, and then here I don't put any value here because remember earlier in the PowerShell code, I only call it from like 5 to 7, but you can also call it until the end of the worksheet as well. So that's how it works. And yeah, so that comes near to the end of the presentation. What I want to say is that, so this is just the base for you to develop your solution in the future. And there's also many improvements that you can make on top of it. So for example, when it comes to the charge, you can also add a lot of elements. And how do you know? You can go to GitHub of Doug in order to find out those elements. And you can also make it dynamic, more dynamic. For example, here, if I open the Excel file, you will see that right now I have two columns like from row 2 to row 5, like this. And then in the future, maybe there may be many other records as well. How do you make sure that every time there's new record add in, your code also take into account those row as well, because you don't want to go back every day to extend the row, right? So yeah, so those are the improvements that I believe that you can also easily achieve. And thank you very much.
Wow. Let me just that was amazing. It's really cool to see somebody else use your tools in a different way. And you covered more pieces than I could probably explain to most people. It's not just PowerShell, it's the Excel, it's the forecasting, it's how to do debugging. Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous. We had a couple of questions. Yeah, so I think I wrote this tool for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's really helpful. Thanks again.
No, I did it on weekends for fun. So and yeah, to see you, like, my demos of this tool are not as deep and as broad as yours. And really, I play around with a lot of different concepts. I like pivot tables. That's my OLAP, and OLTEP is my, from the old mainframe days and data analytics. That's where I come from, and that's why I wanted to use this. And then watching how you're applying it. And I think somebody even mentioned they learned moving averages today. So that's really cool. And I never knew about the forecast ETS. So that's really cool. So a couple of questions. Gregory asked, how is the best way to get the formula to all the cells? Without trying off the top of my head, I think you could to all the cells. That's a good question. You might have to do something like get the dimensions of the worksheet, and then you can iterate through the number of rows and columns, and then you can do what On did, where you went and get the cells dot formula. You might have to loop through it yourself. I don't know if there's a quick, easy way, but that's just off the top of my head. You have to try that out. And Bart said you could make it into a function and open and close it more easily. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of, this is, I can see On did this for demonstration purpose. This is, there's a lot of pieces, like this is how you get in and debug your iterative way of debugging and working through the data you want, which is why I put a -show on there and took it off. Make it so you can actually show it or not show it. That way, when you go to production, you can just take off the shows and it can generate the files, and then you can email them, put them in SharePoint, share them around on a drive, whatever you want to do. There's lots of ways that you can build little tools to make this whole iterative debug process easier for yourself, all with PowerShell, which is really cool. So before we wrap up, thanks for everybody for coming. And that was a tremendous, I'm really glad you came on. I might have to have you back, chat about a whole bunch of other things. So one of the questions I have for you too is, have you ever worked with the Python packages that work with Excel?
I would say I don't, because most of my work nowadays don't work with Excel file. So
gotcha. Because what's funny is like I was looking the other day, and I think my first check-in for this module was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing's almost 10 years old. And so the module is almost older than your 12 years in the business, but I'm only kidding. So that's good news for you, bad news for me, I think. I don't know. So when I built this, I never looked in the Python world, but I think pandas, as well as there's like a bunch of other Python tools that actually interact with Python with Excel that do the same, if not similar, right? Because the open office XML model for Excel lets any language work. There's Rust, there's Go interfaces to doing this as well. But I never looked at it. So, you haven't played with it. So it's really, and that's one other point. You talk about like setting up the data, data scientists, 80% of the job of a data scientist is scrubbing and correcting and making sure the data is right. So when you can automate it and understand the patterns and the cyclical aspects and so on, PowerShell and Excel are a great match. You also use a third chart there. What was it called? The Holt Winter?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's very
I've never heard of that either. What is that?
So that is just like it's another forecast method. So in data science, so basically it's kind of the linear function in order to do that. So I mean, I don't want to go into very detail of this, but
so did you use a formula, an Excel formula for that? Or was that which one?
I think the forecast function I just show
the forecast test ETS does that.
Yes.
Excellent.
I will need to double confirm on this.
I'm gonna look into that too.
But I believe, I mean, when I just looked at the client research and it showed like
awesome.
Exactly the same thing.
So I know you probably have to go, but I have one more thing, and I always say I have one more thing, and then I have 5 more things. But one more thing was the good news and the bad news. So I try to do twice a month. I do a live stream about the new ChatGPT stuff. Mm-hmm. I have the plus version, so it gives me access to the newer features. One of the features that they have is called the code interpreter, which is a Python that is based in a new iPhone coming out. What? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I just reading comments. Sorry. So what you can do is you can actually upload an Excel spreadsheet into the code interpreter inside ChatGPT, and you can then use prompts and you can say, look at this data, do the data cleaning, do the scrubbing, do the analysis, fix the missing values, and then do an analysis like what you just did. You can just type that in as a sentence, and it does everything inside of a Python instance. One more thing. Thanks, Yap. So always good to have you on, Yap. And then, so I'm looking at the interpreter. It does it all with Python libraries, though, and it's cool and it's sad because it's all Python, and I don't see anything happening with the PowerShell in that space yet. But our lives are becoming a little easier, and it's really cool to see AI in this, and then seeing the work that we've learned over years being executed that way. So. Thank you. Any other questions? Or do you want anything else? I think we're good. Does An have a Git repo with her code? Do you have a?
I can push this code into my Git. Just again. So this is for demo purpose. So you will see it's like, if you look at it's like the normal code is, if you compare to it will be messy, and because it's like why you do this and that, but because I draw it in a way that I want to demo. Yeah, so
Cool. And what I'll do is, if you get on my YouTube channel, I'll ping on and get all her links for where the code is and all of her information about who she is and whatnot. And I'll put it in the YouTube description when this is ready after it's recorded. Excellent. Well, thanks everybody for joining. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. This has been enlightening, even for the person who created the tool. I love that.
Oh, nice.
So we'll talk soon, hopefully. Have a good
Yeah,
one. Enjoy the weekend.
yeah.
Take
Thanks for
care,
having
everybody.
me. Thank
You're
you. Bye
welcome.
bye.